Is the UK version of the new Ford Ranger Raptor a complete waste of your money? I'm going to be telling you what I think in this video. Would I buy it again here in the UK, considering the differences that this car has around the world? The UK one definitely has the least power, and a few other things that I'll speak about in this video. I'll show you the engine, talk about the exhaust note, that active exhaust that everyone speaks around here in the UK, and tell you really what it's like owning this car. Now, 4x4s have definitely changed over the years, and the Raptor, in my opinion, is one of the best looking pickup trucks you can buy here in the UK. I also own a Land Rover Series 1, which is 68 years old now, and as you can see, quite a bit of difference in styling and how the vehicles look. And this, my personal Land Rover Series 1, I'm actually giving away to somebody who can win it for just £5. If you click the link in the description or pinned in the comments, this could be yours this summer. Possibly one of the coolest summer cars I think you could be owning this year, and you can win it for just £5 to make room in my garage for my next Land Rover Defender project. But back to the Raptor. What are the things that are different about the Raptor compared to the other Ford Rangers? Well, there's a few key ones. This is a 3-litre petrol, the V6 variant, which I think suits the Raptor the best with the aggressive exterior styling and everything else you get on this vehicle. So some of those key differences that you get with the Raptor, the first thing you get is a strengthened chassis. You get a much firmer chassis with the Raptor, and with that, your ride is so much more improved over the standard model. You get Fox suspension, you get the live valve active shock absorbers, which means you're driving, it kind of adapts to where you're going, and honestly, feels like having air suspension compared to things like my Land Rover Discovery that I've owned previously. You've got the all-terrain tyres, you've got the black side steps, the underbelly protection, and that active exhaust, which you can switch from a steering wheel, which I'll show you what that sounds like. The best bit about the Raptor, in my opinion, is the bodywork. You get this kind of widened, more aggressive stance to the Ford Ranger, which really sets it off compared to the standard Wildtrap models. And that makes it about 15 centimeters wider, and it's probably about 5 centimeters higher as well. Now, the Raptor here in the UK, this particular model comes in at around £62,000. It's pretty well spec'd from factory. There's a few things that I added onto mine, things like the Raptor pack, which adds that electronic sliding close over the rear load bay. And actually, that's one of the best features about this car. It's 100% waterproof for those that ask. I get a lot of questions around whether the rear is waterproof and whether you can store stuff in it as a normal boot, and you definitely can. It stayed completely dry for me in snow, rain, and pretty much every weather condition that I've been in. Let's talk about one of the key things around the Ford Ranger, probably one of the most controversial things, which is the engine itself. So the Ford Ranger comes in a couple of different engine types. In this new generation, you get the 2-litre bi-turbo engine, the diesel that was in the previous Ford Ranger models. And the Raptor comes with this special power plant, which you can choose to have. You can also get the 2-litre in the Raptor, which is the 3-litre V6 twin turbo. You can just about make out one of the turbos just down there. And this makes for a really punchy engine in a vehicle that weighs 2.5 tons. Now, the performance on this is in the UK, which is a little bit different to the Australian and the US spec, which is kind of the reason for making this video, is a lot of people say the UK version is a waste of time. This puts out 292 horsepower, 491 newton meters of torque. And that gets you 0 to 60 in around 7.9 seconds, which is pretty fast for a big truck that weighs 2.5 tons like this, or at least big by UK standards. I know my American watchers on here will be telling me that that's not a very big truck and theirs is much bigger. But for here in the UK, it's one of the biggest trucks on the road. Now, if you're in the Australian or US market, you get 405 horsepower, which is up from the 292 that I've got here in my Ford Ranger Raptor, which does feel like a big jump, over 100 horsepower more on those specs outside the UK. You also get the torque rating of 583 newton meters torque, up from the 491 that we have here in the UK. So again, quite a significant difference. Now, considering I haven't driven an Australian or a US spec Ford Ranger Raptor, I'd be interested to know what you guys that have feel like it is on the road. For me here in the UK, this still feels really fast. It still feels, I would say, fast enough for something that weighs this much and is as big as this is on the UK roads. But I would love, obviously, for it to have that extra horsepower, particularly with the cost you're paying. So with this is still a 60-odd thousand pound pickup truck, and that's quite a lot of money for a pickup truck at the end of the day. It's certainly not one that seems like good value for money when you're not getting those performance figures you get in other parts of the world with it. I think it's difficult because when you haven't driven something that has that extra horsepower, that feels that much faster, this still feels quite good. I suppose if I had driven one of those cars, if I do drive one of those cars, this will probably feel quite slow and I'll be wishing I had that upgrade. Now, there's a few things you can do about this. For those that are in the UK, you can get the Ford Performance upgrade for it. So I think it's an ECU tune you can do. It's available through Ford Performance, so I don't think it voids your warranty. Quite an expensive upgrade. I think it's quite a bit over £1,000 to get professionally done, but I think that can increase the horsepower rating because at the end of the day, this power plant in the US, in Australia, does put out nearly 100 more horsepower, quite a lot more torque as well. So it's possible to get its engine rated to that without stressing it too much. Not something I've done. I'm not sure if it's something I'm going to do. It's not something I'm desperate for. For me, this is my family vehicle and it does exactly what it needs to do with the current power it has. But maybe at some point, particularly as it goes out of warranty, and if I keep it that long, that'll be something I'll probably look to do because I think it will be quite fun to get us a little bit faster. So to answer that question of where this video all started, which is, would I buy my Ford Ranger Raptor again? Do I think it's a waste of money here in the UK compared to those specs he gets outside of the UK? I definitely don't. I've absolutely loved owning it. It's been one of the funnest cars that I've owned, and it just does everything I'd want it to do. And my top 3 things that I do love about it are, number 1, you get the versatility of a pickup truck. You get something that can literally go anywhere and haul anything everywhere. I've got a rack for it at the back that goes over the load bay, so for bikes, skis, snowboards, anything you want to carry, whether that's going to the tip with this trailer, anything you want to do, the pickup can do it and do it really, really well. It's got those amazing all-terrain tires on it as well, so you literally can go off-road or do anything you want to do, and you get all of that in this package. Number 2 would be the fact that it drives like a performance car. So you've got that 3-litre V6 engine, and yes, it's pretty thirsty. It does less than 20 miles per gallon pretty regularly, but it is great fun to drive, and you get a package where you get all the comforts, be able to haul whatever you need to do, but at quite a pace, and it's really, really good fun to drive. It's like a combination of having something that's a bit more performance focused and something that is really practical as well. So for me, it's a big tick and makes it definitely worthwhile, even with those down-rated performance figures that you get in the UK model. And finally is purely the comfort. In this, although it's a pickup truck, it honestly feels like you're driving any other SUV. I think it's down to the fact that you've got that independent Fox shock suspension all round, but it drives as well, and I've said this before, it drives as well as my Land Rover Discovery 5 that I had previous to this. Really comfortable on long drives. The seating, the interior, everything works so well. The infotainment in the Ford now at this 2024 model is amazing. It is brilliantly up to date. It works perfectly well with wireless Apple CarPlay and everything else you'd want. And it literally does everything I'd want it to do for longer drives too. So the comfort factor in what is a pickup truck is pretty phenomenal with this vehicle. And the one thing you always want to know about the Ford Ranger Raptor is the exhaust. So let me show you what the exhaust sounds like too in the different modes that you've got with that live active exhaust button you have on the steering wheel. So at the back of the truck now, I'm going to put the engine on and I'll start it just like normal. You'll hear it choke and then go down the tone a little bit. Then we'll do it in sports mode, then we'll do it in Baja mode, and I'll go to quiet mode, which is the final mode that's quite good when it's droning along on motorways. So let's start things up and let you hear what it sounds like. This is a normal mode. This isn't me doing anything special. You'll hear it drop off a little bit in a second. It kind of chokes and starts like this. It's quite loud actually when it's just starting and idling, and you'll hear it drop off in a second. So you can just hear that tone change, and that's it pretty much as idling. Normally, let's put it in sports mode. So that is sports mode, a little bit more raspy, a little bit louder, and then Baja mode is a little deeper than that. So let me show you that now. So I clicked it into Baja mode for a second there. You hear it's a bit louder, a bit deeper, and now it's quiet mode. So this mode is quite good when you're on motorways. You don't want the droning on of the exhaust so much. So this is what I'd put it in if I'm doing a long distance on the motorway. I use sports mode probably the most. Baja mode is good. I think Baja mode is a little deeper, but in all honesty, I think you get a little bit more out of sports mode than Baja mode, which which is weird. Don't know if anyone else feels that if you've got a Ford Ranger Raptor, but that's my personal thoughts on it. I think Sport's a little bit crisper, get a little bit of a better sound out of it than Baja even, but yeah, that's what I think. Hope you found that little bit of a walkthrough of the UK Ford Ranger Raptor useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, for just £5, you could be driving home my Land Rover Series 1 this summer. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.